I'm very, very, very excited for Fantom long term. I think their Lachesis model, their 30-year war chest. You guys have the Godfather of DeFi, which is Andre Cronje. Um, you guys have FVM coming up. You have now this banking partnership with Fantom. Um, you have one of the most scalable, inexpensive blockchains out there. So I'm very excited for that.
Alrighty, welcome back everyone to another freshly minted Phantom Edge episode. I have a very special guest today, but none other Corey Costa. How are you, my man?
I'm doing well, man. Thanks for having me. I really appreciate the time today.
Of course, man. It's a pleasure of mine to have you and chat with you. I've seen a lot of your videos. I know you've been in touch with the Phantom ecosystem for
I
a
have.
while. So let's start with the basics. Tell us who you are and what you do. In a glimpse.
Sure. So I got in cryptocurrency in 2017. Invested, didn't do very well in 2017, like many people in the class of 2017. And then as I started moving forward, I started realizing to myself, well, in order for me to actually invest in this space anymore, because I unfortunately lost everything in 2017, I'm going to have to work in this space. So I started really working my way into different companies in this space, and I started doing content creation for a cryptocurrency company called Icon. I started a YouTube channel about 2.5 years ago, 3 years ago, during the last bear market. And I was covering particularly news around a cryptocurrency called Icon. And then after 2021, I started really exploring other cryptocurrencies. And I found out about, I started really researching, projects like Pulse Chain, like Hex, like Fantom, like Cardano. And I started really doing research on them. And I started working with a project called Syscoins, with I'm an ambassador now with Syscoins, been around for 10 years. So I'm very happy to be with them. And I've really just been doing network marketing for cryptocurrency companies like Syscoin. I've been doing a lot of content specifically for the Pulse Chain and Hex community. Um, I've done content for Fantom. I've had the CMO on twice. I've had I had Juan Angel on as well. So I have had I've done a few videos on Fantom as well, because I'm a big fan of Fantom, and I'm very excited to see where it's going to go in the future, especially with its 30-year war chest, especially with Lachesis model, with FVM coming up. There's a lot of exciting things with Fantom that I'm personally very excited for.
Yeah.
And yeah, so most of my content, I've interviewed some of the most well-known people in this space, and I've actually veered out into the political sector as well. I've interviewed Charles Hoskinson, Laura Loomer, Bruce Fenton, Dennis Porter, BitBoy, David Gottstein, Crypto Wendy,
Yeah.
uh, Peter Saddington, so many to count that I really can't even think
Yeah.
of. And I have many more on the way. So, I've just been, mostly my content is around interviews,
Yeah.
but starting to take a back seat with interviews because there's only so many people you can interview.
Yeah.
Um, so I'm going to start doing more solo content. But yeah, if you go to my channel, it's Corey Costa's Crypto Coins. You'll see about 80% of it is around Pulse Chain and Hex. I've done videos on VeChain. I've done videos on Fantom. I've done videos on Argo. I've done videos on Syscoin. So yeah, that's what I do. I usually just create content because
Yeah.
I enjoy doing it.
Absolutely, man. And as you can tell, you've been in the space for a while. I
Mhm.
personally got into the space in 2017 when I discovered Bitcoin for the first time. So, I
Nice.
wanted to ask you regarding bear markets. Right,
Mhm.
2017, I believe it was 2018. I think that was a really, really dry bear. Can you tell me what you've noticed? Is there differences? Is there similarities from that bear to this bear in terms of like people reacting in crypto Twitter? Like, what's the sentiment that you saw back then that you saw similar here, or has it been a totally different type of bear market that you've experienced?
I think it's both similar and different. I think it's similar in the depression that we've seen. I think it's similar in the stories of how people have lost everything. But I do believe this bear market is much worse than 2018.
Mm,
In 2018, basically basically the catalyst for that bear market was South Korea banning ICOs.
mhm,
And that was the main catalyst, which really wasn't that big of a deal, to be honest with you. It was a very regional event, but it showed that cryptocurrency hadn't matured as much. In
mhm,
2021, specifically 2022, when you saw Luna collapse, BlockFi collapse, Celsius collapse, Voyager go bankrupt, FTX collapse. Um, the amount of black swan events that occurred in cryptocurrency in 2022 were staggering. And I think that really set this industry back, a year or so because of these black swan events, because of this extra sense of prudence towards blockchain, because people don't know where to trust. People don't know where to keep their funds, where they're trusting. You can't trust banks. You can't trust exchanges. Now there's a question coming in whether you can trust hardware wallets or not anymore. So
Yeah.
it's like, what is really safe? And people are not big fans of putting their money in something that they don't foresee as safe. So I truly believe that this bear market is a lot worse than 2017. I think 2017, again, it was more of a regional issue that had happened,
Mhm.
and then we had in 2018 we had a little run up because I believe Congress says a few things that embrace cryptocurrency.
Mhm.
Um, in the Muslim world, in the Muslim world, cryptocurrency was declared halal, which means permitted.
Yeah.
Um, so I think that this cryptocurrency market was much worse and much more drawn out than 2017, from my experience at least.
Yeah, I know you mentioned the Black Swan events, and that most of us, probably our listeners, you and I, are completely aware of, right? And that leads
Mhm.
to my next question. With these Black Swan events, they take the headlines, right? You turn on the news, you read an article, and it was always about the negative side of crypto, which, again, it was well deserved because obviously you don't want
Of
people
course.
losing money and a bad leadership. However, what do you think it'll take for crypto to be taken a little bit more serious from the public eye? This obviously overlaps with mass adoption, normies kind of coming in and playing around with some crypto stuff. Like, what will it take for those negative things to be accepted, but also, okay, look what's being built, foundational from a blockchain perspective or DApp perspective?
Mhm. So I think volatility is one of those things that I was actually talking to my pulmonologist today about
Mm,
cryptocurrency,
yeah.
and he's very well aware of cryptocurrency, and he invests in the companies that facilitate it. Like he's invested in Nvidia, he's invested into
Mm,
Coinbase, and the reason why he won't go into the actual digital assets is because there's no it the way he put it was basically it's too volatile, and the way this market works is not indicative of what's happening in the exterior economy.
mm,
So a lot of people find trepidation in going into an asset class that does not move on the basis of the outside economy.
mm,
So, for example, like the outside economy could be during a stock market boom, and cryptocurrency, well, doesn't necessarily mean that it's going to be in a stock. It's going to be in a boom. I
yeah.
think that one of the things that would really create mass adoption and more acceptance of cryptocurrency is ease of use and ease of access. Let's face it, not everybody wants to learn about how to get involved in bridges and how to put wrapped contracts onto their MetaMask and how to use hardware wallets
Yeah.
and have to acknowledge the fact that decentralized exchanges go down every other week and regulatory clarity is unclear in many countries, specifically the United States.
Mm,
Um, Nobody knows exactly what the CBDC are going to do. I think a lot of this needs to be clarified in order for people to garner mass adoption. And you also need to create blockchains that interact with people without you even realizing you're interacting with them.
mhm.
Like right now, I realize that if you like in a lot of blockchains, DeFi, you have to directly interact with it and you have to directly get involved with it. And it's very complex, even for the most advanced of users.
Mhm.
So for me personally, I believe what's curtailing mass adoption is that complexity. But when we create simplicity, I would say 5, 10 years down the road, I believe mass adoption will be more serious. And I also
Yeah.
think that people unfortunately take this market more seriously when the market is up, and that's how people get wrecked. But the biggest marketing ploy for many is green candles, and we see that
Yeah.
as a very big indicator with meme coins, and that's why I think meme coins, although it doesn't give this space a very serious a very serious image. I do think that meme coins, whether you like them or not, we can't deny the fact of how much that relatability and that familiarity creates a sense of not trust, but sense of ease when getting into the
Mm.
space. Like most
Yep.
people that I knew in 2021, the
Hmm.
only cryptocurrencies they knew besides Bitcoin and Ethereum were Doge and Sheep. They didn't
Exactly.
know anything else.
Yeah.
So
Yeah, and I'll say this, man. I was a big speculator when it came to meme coins, a
yep,
year or two ago, and I always said, like, dude, like, I don't think meme coins have any positive ROI, except for those that kind of have that risk tolerance to go in and say,
right.
okay, well, screw it. However, though, I do kind of see, like you said, it does pique interest. It does allow people to ask questions, whether how do I buy this, what's the contract address, whatever it may be, what's MetaMask, and
Mhm.
so on. So there is interest there. Corey, I want to ask you, you have been, again, I'll emphasize, you have been in the space for a while. What are some fundamentals, whether it's one or two fundamentals that you think people should really grasp in the space? Think of these as like frameworks or foundational thought processes that will keep you alive in the space monetarily and same, health wise.
Sure. The first thing is community is everything. If you don't have a community, you don't have a product. I don't care how innovative your product is. So when investing, look at communities. That's the first thing. And the second thing is always be secure. Now I know there's a lot of debacle right now with Ledger, and I know there's also there's some debacle with Trezor right now, and it's just indicative of including myself, not being aware of of how hardware wallets actually work.
Mhm.
Um, the best security practices you can take are not to post your seed phrases online. Don't store them on any cloud device. Um, Store them somewhere where you trust, where it's not going to be taken or stolen, where no one can see it. I would highly recommend, having definitely safety precautions. Don't be clicking phishing links. Always
Mhm.
make sure the links are proper, because if you don't, everything can be drained in a matter of a second. Um, don't be vaunting your wallet addresses, even though there's no way a hacker can hack you just by knowing your wallet address.
Yeah.
It sets you up to be a target in real life, and like there's no I mean, do you really need your ego stroked that much that you show your wallet addresses online to say how much I got? Like, no, that's stupid.
Mhm.
I think people who do that are kind of moronic, to be honest with you,
Mhm.
and just need validation from people who they'll never meet. So I would not post my address online. I would not post my seed phrase. I wouldn't screenshot my seed phrase. I wouldn't use MetaMask or any type of cryptocurrency address, I mean, cryptocurrency app in public, specifically with Wi-Fi. I would use two-factor authentication for every email I use for cryptocurrency. I would use two-factor authentication for every exchange that I use. If you're going to buy a hardware wallet, make sure that you use a fake name. So if there's a data breach that happens, that your name isn't shown.
Mhm. Mhm.
Um, so those are massively safety precautions. Like there's no such thing as paranoia in this space. I know people in my outside circle are like, Corey, ever since you got into the space, you've become like a borderline schizophrenic. And I'm like, well, this space kind of facilitates that energy, unfortunately.
Yeah.
So, it's definitely something where you got to have a level head. Like this is like the most volatile, avaristic space, in my opinion, in the world. So you've
Yeah.
got to have a level head. You got to be able to invest in things that you can see are long term, or even if you find things that are short term, take profits. I see this all the time. People don't take profits because they're either succumbing to euphoria or they're an ideologue, and they think that they're martyrs or honorable by
Yep.
staying with a particular cryptocurrency at an all-time high. And I think that's absolutely dumb. I
Yeah.
think that if you're in a bull cycle at an all-time high and you don't sell something because you're an ideologue, and you believe that something's going to be around, and you believe something that I don't know, you believe that it's important to not take profits. I mean, yeah, if you want to wait for another bull cycle, which will take another 3, 4 years, go ahead. I learned that from 2017. I'm sorry, I'm not an ideologue anymore. In 2017, I didn't sell because I thought that was going to keep going up and up and up and up and up. But
Mhm.
realistically speaking, this is an asset class where a lot of people in here are here to make money,
Mhm.
and there's not
Mhm.
a shame in saying that.
Yep.
For some reason, people take that to offense, even though I think that's ridiculous because it's hypocritical. Because almost everyone here is to make money.
Yeah.
So, it's just being honest and transparent about that,
Mhm.
and take profits. Don't be an ideologue, and
Mhm.
that's basically all I have to say. Like, because you're gonna hate this space if you don't take profits, because you're gonna be in financial ruin. Whereas you'd be more passionate about space if you took profits and you actually looked at the space saying, wow, this actually financially changed my life, instead of, oh, wow, this financially wrecked me.
Yeah.
So that's another thing.
Yeah, great points, man. I think you suggested a lot on the security, trusting yourself, trusting all your assets and taking control of your assets. I personally too, I want to emphasize too, I personally agree. I've always said people demonize making money in this space for some reason. It's a financially driven space.
It is.
I was very similar to like, oh, am I paper handing, things like that, or there's this like weird conundrum that happens, but with self-awareness and a little bit of getting burnt in the space allows
Mhm.
you to really kind of get that clarity. But last thing I have for you, or last question I have for you, Corey, before I let you go, is what are you personally bullish on? In a use case sense, like what are you looking at lately, and what gets you going?
So my favorite projects are Pulse Chain, Hex, Fantom. I love Cardano, Syscoin. I think that AI coins are going to also perform quite well. It's evident that meme coins are not going away over the last month again. But if you're going to speculate on meme coins, be very, very, very careful because 99% of them are scams. They're rugs. They literally, what these scammers do is they make a website that looks good, they make a Twitter, they make a Telegram, and there's this thing on Telegram that shows you where every ERC20 is created, when it's created, and you get a few people. Starts out at $50,000 market cap, goes up to 2 million, and then the dev rugs, and then you're left with nothing.
Yeah.
So meme coins, very few of them hit, but when they hit well. Be very careful investing in them. But I do believe artificial intelligence is going to AI coins are going to do well. But I really believe that the sentiment that layer one blockchain coins that are adopted
Mhm.
and that are mass adopted are going to do well. So I'm very, very excited for Pulse Chain and Hex. Personally, I think Pulse Chain right now has the fourth most um, 24-hour volume
Mhm.
of any blockchain that came out like 5 days ago.
Yes, it has.
Yeah, I'm very, very, very excited for Fantom long term. I think their Lachesis model, their 30-year war chest. You guys have the Godfather of DeFi, which is Andre Cronje. Um, you guys have FVM coming up. You have now this banking partnership with Fantom. Um, you have one of the most scalable, inexpensive blockchains out there. So I'm very excited for that. I'm a big fan of Cardano. I think their community is very, very important. I think Charles Hoskinson is a very important figurehead in this space. I think that their staking mechanism is flawless. I love their staking mechanism personally in their community. And Syscoin, I'm a big fan of as well because they've been around for 10 years and they're building their Rolex and their zero their ZK rollups as well.
Mhm.
So I think that's also very valuable. But for me personally, where my most of my energy is right now, and I know a lot of people don't like this, but because I know it's controversial, even though I don't know why anymore. But I'm a very, very, very big proponent of the Pulse Chain Hex community. I would not be here talking to you if it wasn't for the Hex and Pulse Chain community. I wouldn't have my follower count if it wasn't the Hex and Pulse Chain community. No questions asked, hands down. When I worked for that other company called Icon,
Mhm.
it took me 2 years to get 500 subscribers. When I started doing Pulse Chain content, I got that in 4 days.
Yeah.
So, community is everything.
Yeah.
Um, community, many people would disagree with me, but community and hype are really what are the driving forces
Mhm.
of an ecosystem's utility and I mean, and use case.
Mhm.
Um, so yeah, I really find value in those particular blockchains, and I think also AI is going to really play a narrative in the next cycle as well.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, no, thank you so much, Corey. I think you gave us a great glimpse of what you do, how you started. You gave us some great tips on what to consider when navigating. I think even seasoned people in the space still need a reminder each and every day because I've seen
Yep.
some people mess up simply doing a simple transaction, signing the wrong thing, whatever it may be, and they've been in the space for a while. So I think it's always a great reminder, refresher, the tips you shared with us, and obviously what you're bullish on. So Corey, thank you so much for your time, man.
No problem. And I'm not a financial advisor, but I really appreciate your time today. I love
Yeah.
what you do with Phantom.
Thank you.
I'm a huge fan of the Phantom ecosystem. So anytime I can, help Phantom, if you have connections to the Phantom
Yeah.
team, I'd happy to have them on again. And yeah, man, I appreciate your time.
Of course, Corey. I appreciate your words, man. Until next time.
All right, be easy, brother.